FYF Sportsman, it's Lamont. We back with another breaking news video. Got a lot to talk about today. Man, and Adam Silver, he opened the door for Monday for teams to start making trades and getting things figured out. And what a day it was, man. Teams hit the ground running. And we saw a lot of big moves made, a lot of questions answered. And I like it. What I like about this is what I've been wanting to see. I want to see GMs step to the forefront and start doing their job. All right. I'm tired of seeing players getting blamed for leaving, trying to put themselves in winning situations. These GMs are now being held accountable to get the job done. All right, so we're going to get to some of these trades here in a moment. But before we get started, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you have not done so already. All right, we're grinding. Been some great live streams of late. All right, we'll be going live today, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when this video drops. Again, so make sure. I mean, again, by the time this video drops and by the time we go live, I'm sure a number of other moves are probably going to have been made going into tomorrow's draft. So we're just gonna, dive right into it, and we're just gonna start with the first big trade of the day. First big trade of the day was one, again, as I've told you guys before, that was predicted. Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. This is something that I spoke about a month ago. All right, I heard whispers about it in the wind, and it wasn't necessarily that I was hearing whispers about it from the Phoenix Suns. It was more so from external forces asking questions, gauging questions about the Suns' offense, asking questions about Devin Booker and if he would like that pairing. Speaking with Monty Williams, trying to get an idea of what type of systems they could potentially run with DeAndre Ayton to make it work. Do they have the cap space to not just make it work by bringing him in, but could they finesse and bring someone else in? All right, so what we're going to do is we know that the Phoenix Suns were able to successfully pull off this trade. One of the surprising aspects of this trade was that the Phoenix Suns did not have to give up the number 10 pick in the 2020 draft. And I thought that was one of the key moves. I think that was a great move by the Phoenix Suns that really tips the balance of this particular trade in favor of the Phoenix Suns. So we're going to break down the trade. The Suns get Chris Paul and Abdel Nader. Oklahoma City Thunder get Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, and a 2022 first-round pick. Now, pardon with Kelly Oubre, again, the way he played with the Phoenix Suns was extremely difficult. But when you got Cam Johnson, when you got Mikal Bridges, two young guys that are blossoming, first-round picks, still under rookie deals, that have shown a lot of promise, it made it much easier to move Kelly Oubre and the money that he would have demanded had he stayed. All right. So when the Phoenix Suns went 8-0 in the bubble while Kelly Oubre was out with injury, what that did was it simply revealed to the Phoenix Suns that these two young guys are the wings of the future for this team. And that's not necessarily bashing what Kelly Oubre did. He brought a lot to the Phoenix Suns. He brought a lot to this area. He did a lot for the community. We definitely appreciate what he's able to do here. But his time was definitely up when the season ended, and that was the worst kept secret here in Phoenix. We all knew that he was going to get traded. It was just a matter of when and to who. Now Ricky Rubio, again, another fan favorite here. But again, the analytics and the numbers were just against Rubio. With the way the NBA is played today, you need a point guard that has the ability to make shots. All right, and teams with point guards that can't make shots find themselves struggling time and time again, especially against the elite teams in this league. And that was Ricky Rubio's. That was one of the biggest indictments of his game, with the worst field goal percentage out of all point guards in the league. Now, they parted with a great playmaker. He did a lot for this team. But what you're getting in replace, Chris Paul, you definitely can't beat that. Now, Ty Jerome, another promising rookie out of Virginia. Now, he set out last year, started the year off with some ankle injuries, back and forth in the G League, never really got a firm footing in the NBA, but he was a first-round pick with a lot of promise. They had to part with him, and they had to part with the very quick, the very athletic, and a promising guard in Jalen LeCue. I know Phoenix loved this guy. He lit up the G League when he was down there. He came and gave us some good minutes when Ricky Rubio was out. So I think this is one of the players where they really didn't want to part with him. But the combination of Ty Jerome and Jalen LeCue, I think that makes up for Phoenix not having to relinquish that number 10 pick. And they just simply have to give up a 2022 first-round draft pick. So I think with what they gave up, Kelly Oubre, you got two solid guys in waiting that are ready to fill in that void. Ricky Rubio was replaced by Chris Paul. And you sacrifice Ty Jerome and Jalen LeCue, point guards of the future. None of them have really been on the court yet to give us meaningful minutes. However, you did exhaust draft picks on them, and it would have been nice to see what they can do on the court. But again, that's just one of the sacrifices you have to make when you're trading for a superstar point guard in Chris Paul. They do get Abdel Nader back. Abdel Nader's, he's not a slouch. He's a great guy who can come off your bench, be the 6th, 7th, or 8th man off that bench. He can make shots. He can make plays. So he's no slouch as well. I think they can use him in the rotation. Just being able to come in and give 10 to 15 minutes a solid action. So I think the Phoenix Suns definitely came out ahead in this trade. Really curious to see what other moves they'll follow this up with. And I'm hearing they're looking for a power forward. So when we think of the power forwards out there, you got Christian Wood. You got Kevin Love, you have LaMarcus Aldridge. All of these guys are looking to be moved. Keep your eyes open for one of these guys to be headed over to Phoenix to shore up this lineup, because bringing in one of those guys could really turn this team from being just a contender to a finals contender. So I really appreciate the direction that they're going in. Monty Williams and James Jones have been doing a great job of not just working together. What they've done another great job of doing is keeping out all of the toxic information that started to try to infiltrate its way into Phoenix. You know, as these deals were trying to, beginning to get negotiated, we heard that toxic energy try to infiltrate Phoenix. We heard about the rumors of Devin Booker wanting out. Absolutely false. Absolutely fictional. But you know what Phoenix did? Phoenix held firm. All right. You didn't really hear a lot of things leaking out of Phoenix. You didn't have people talking about a lot of chatter. Right. The Devin Booker story went away on its own in a few days. No one gave it that much energy, and voila, look what you have here. As I predicted a month ago, Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. And I know, there were a lot of Knicks fans out there that were highly disappointed that Chris Paul was not able to go to the Knicks. But you guys got to understand, it wasn't the Phoenix Suns that chose Chris Paul. It was Chris Paul that chose the Phoenix Suns. He's the one that used his agent to reach out to Monty Williams, to reach out to Devin Booker, to reach out to the Phoenix Suns organization. He brought this trade idea to OKC to where they could actually gauge a viable and real trade to make this happen. So the only thing that Chris Paul's getting out of this is what he exactly wanted. So unfortunately for Knicks fans, again, free agents, that going to New York is not the destination. Players do not want to go there. Players do not want to get traded there unless you want to end your career. It's like a graveyard for the NBA now. So it's just an unfortunate situation. Knicks fans, I wish you the best of luck. And we all heard about the rumors of Chris Paul going to the Bucks. There were never any real negotiations there. It was always with the Phoenix Suns from the start. Again, that outside chatter had a lot of people thinking otherwise. So congratulations to the Phoenix Suns for being able to successfully pull off that trade. Now, another trade of the day. This was a lesser move. It's actually more so meaningful for the Portland Trailblazers. At least that's what I think. But there was a trade. Portland's starting early. They made a move to kind of fill in a void that they were missing last year. And they bring in Robert Covington. They trade Trevor Ariza to the Houston Rockets for Robert Covington. The Portland Trail Blazers are also giving up a 2020 first-round pick and a 2021 protected first-round pick. Now, I thought that was a bit much for Robert Covington. With a guy like Trevor Ariza who plays so similar to a Robert Covington. Now, Robert Covington is probably a slightly better defender at this point in his career. But, man, they gave up a lot to bring in Robert Covington. Now, you're giving up 2 draft picks and you give up Trevor Ariza. Now, I was hearing whispers in the wind that Trevor Ariza was not happy being in Portland for a large number of reasons that I was told were believed to be around the distance between him and his family. I think he wanted to get back closer to home. So I think in combination of feeling a need for that team, I think they were also doing a favor for Trevor Ariza, sending him back to the Southwest area so he can be closer to his family, closer to his kids. We know that, there are some court orders in play right there that kind of limit how he can see his son. And I think that was more so a classy move by the Portland Trail Blazers to kind of capitulate to what Trevor Ariza needed, which with regards to his family circumstances. And they paid, Portland Trail Blazers paid a pretty price to actually make that move happen. But when you're looking to put yourself in a win now mode, you have to start plugging holes. In that wing position, although Gary Trent Jr. did a decent job trying to play defense on guys like LeBron James on that wing, at the end of the day, LeBron James is just too big, too strong, too fast for guys like Gary Trent Jr., who's normally a shooting guard. And we knew that Carmelo Anthony does not have the defensive savvy at this time in his career. And with Carmelo Anthony potentially eyeing other destinations, you really have to find a way to not just add shooting right on the wing, but you also have to bring in defenders who can guard the likes of a LeBron James, because that it's inevitable, but you're going to have to see them to get through the West. So I think at the end of the day, it was a great move that benefited both teams. I feel like Houston slightly won this deal because of the draft picks. Not sure what Trevor Ariza can give the Houston Rockets on an instant impact, but I think he still has something left in the tank. And the one thing that he can bring to that Rockets team is leadership in the locker room. And that's one thing that they were severely missing. They were severely missing that leadership in the locker room. And I think his relationship with the Rockets organization can help bring everything back to where it used to be. All right, so next trades we got to talk about. Involve the Milwaukee Bucks. And they were the busiest team of the day. They definitely were the busiest team of the day. The Bucks had the most at stake. Being a small market team, you have the 2-time MVP on your team. He's due to sign an extension. If he doesn't sign the extension, he's going into free agency. The clock is ticking. You have to convince this man to sign the extension. And the Milwaukee Bucks did an excellent job today of making the case for Giannis that they're looking to build a championship team. So, the Milwaukee Bucks, a surprise contender for Jrue Holiday. They stamped it. They stamped that trade down. They were able to make it happen. They get Jrue Holiday from the New Orleans Pelicans. In return for Jrue Holiday, the Bucks give up Eric Bledsoe. This is a guard who struggled. You give up George Hill. He did lead the league in three-point field goal percentage, so you lose a little shooting, but you gain defense. And they gave up 3 future first-round picks along with 2 pick swaps. So, man, they definitely went for the fences on this one. Obviously, letting go of Bledsoe doesn't necessarily hurt, especially when you're bringing in a guy like Jrue Holiday who can fill that void. You lose a little bit of leadership. You lose 3-point shooting when you have to give up a George Hill. But he was older, and you really can't rely on him for a lot. All right, his defense was, slightly above average. He was a decent defender. He was able to make shots, but he's not going to be that game changer. He's not that game changer defensively that he used to be. So I think that the Bucks did what they needed to do. They got Jrue Holiday. Now, Jrue Holiday is on a max deal. He has a few years left on his contract, but he has a lot to give. There's a lot of players in the NBA that feel he's the best on-ball defender in the league. He can make plays on his own. He doesn't need anyone to set him up as far as getting to the basket. He can make the three-point shot. He can make the mid-range shot. He's a great passer out of the pick and roll. I think he checks off all of the boxes and needs for the Milwaukee Bucks. So when they lost Malcolm Brogdon, they essentially get that type of player right back in, but slightly elevated in Jrue Holiday. So he's basically a better Malcolm Brogdon, and you're bringing him into this roster. You sacrificed a little bit, but these were the players that we thought would get traded. I thought they would have to give up more players. So the fact that they were able to get Jrue Holiday and only have to give up 2 players, and you're giving up future picks that probably won't really amount to much for your organization anyway, I think that's a great deal. So Jrue Holiday is now a Milwaukee Buck. This was the first move of the day to convince Giannis Antetokounmpo to sign that Supermax. You can put him in that backcourt along with Chris Middleton. You still got Pat Connaughton. You still got Brook Lopez. I think that's solid. I think that's solid right there. All right, the Bucks made a second trade today. The second trade of the day, and this was another very important trade. And I think it did a lot for the Bucks. We'll go ahead and break it down now. But the Bucks acquire Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Sacramento Kings, the sniper, the great young shooter, via sign and trade. Now the Bucks get Bogdan Bogdanovic and Justin James. Sacramento, they get Dante DiVincenzo, Ersan Ilyasova, and DJ Wilson. Now I know the Bucks love DJ Wilson, his athleticism. He was young. He could play D. Again, that's just one of the sacrifices you have to give up a young guy like that. You have to give up Ersan Ilyasova. He was a bit disgruntled with the Bucks. Wasn't getting the playing time that he wanted. He was relegated to the bench for most of the season. He only really played significant minutes when there was an injury or when Giannis Antetokounmpo was out. So his role significantly changed last year. I think he wanted out. So that doesn't necessarily hurt them, especially since his use was minimal for that team last year. And another guy, Dante DiVincenzo. Now, as far as good as Dante DiVincenzo was, he has significant limitations. His jump shot was highly inconsistent. His defense went up and down. He always gave energy and effort every single night. You can tell that he was talented, but he wasn't bringing that night in and night out on a night in and night out basis. He wasn't bringing that consistency that the Milwaukee Bucks needed to be a championship team. All right, and one thing you have to have when you're looking to be a championship team is you have to have some level of consistency, especially from your role players. All right, you can't have really high highs and then really low lows. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's shown the ability to be consistent. He's a consistently great three-point shooter, whether it's catch and shoot, whether it's pulling up off the dribble, whether it's driving, taking a mid-range shot. He's shown that he can get the job done. I think he can be an instant impact as a starter on this team, along with Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton. They are beginning the makings of a powerhouse lineup. Defensively, they were already the number 1 defensive team in the league. They just got better defensively. All right, I think they improved their elite shooting. Now, overall, they lost shooting, but as far as elite shooters, they were able to keep a Chris Middleton. They were able to keep a Pat Connaughton. All right, they were able to bring in a Bogdan Bogdanovic. These are elite level shooters, not just average shooters. These are elite level shooters, and that's what you're looking to surround Giannis Antetokounmpo with. Elite level shooting, so that you can keep the floor space, so you can prevent teams like the Miami Heat from walling up on a consistent basis, taking away what Giannis does best. And this is what I mean by the team needs to surround the best player with pieces that fit his game. You cannot continuously come at Giannis Antetokounmpo on a year in and year out basis and say, look, okay, last year we needed you to do this. Now this year we need you to also do everything that you're already doing plus get a jump shot. And then you have to come back again, do everything that you're already doing, make your jump shot better. Now you need to extend it to the three-point line. Obviously, these are things that you want your best players to get better at on a year-by-year basis. But you need to build your team around your best players' strengths. And Giannis' strength is attacking the rim relentlessly, punishing defenders, getting them in foul trouble, and also being that point forward that a lot of teams would love to have. And that's one of his strengths. You want to cater to your best player's strengths. And I think the Bucks did a great job of catering to Giannis Antetokounmpo's strengths. And just based on these moves that they've made so far, catering to their best player's strengths via trade, I think is probably going to pay off, as reports are starting to leak out of Milwaukee to indicate that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to sign the Supermax extension that the Bucks are going to be offering. So again, all he asked was for the Bucks to put forth some type of effort to better this particular roster, and they did. They did an excellent job. I think they did an excellent job of really improving that team, making them much competitive and deeper. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up this roster here. I really want to touch on who they have left on this roster and how these guys can compete. Let me pull it up right here. All right, so when we look at the roster as of now, they got Chris Middleton. You still got Giannis. You still got Brook Lopez. One of your best defenders, and your big who can space the floor. Robin Lopez opted out. You traded Ersan Ilyasova and DJ Wilson. Dante DiVincenzo's gone. Wesley Matthews opted out. Could potentially resign, but we don't know yet. We know that he's probably looking to make a little bit more than the $3 million that he made last year with the new deal. Kyle Korver's a free agent. Not sure if they're looking to bring him back, but if they can bring him back for another $2 million, I think that's something that they would look into. You still have Pat Connaughton, again, one of the more elite shooters. Now, Pat Connaughton is a free agent, but I think that this guy really fits the Milwaukee system. I think he's going to be back in Milwaukee next year. It just depends on what the market is for Pat Connaughton. If he goes and opts to take more money elsewhere, I can see him gone. You got Sterling Brown. Also a free agent. Again, these are guys that they love the Milwaukee community, that Wisconsin community. So I'm thinking that those are potentially two guys they would be willing to re-sign. You still have the Giannis Antetokounmpo's little brother, or actually older brother, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Marvin Williams obviously retired. You still got Frank Mason. Frank Mason on that roster on a two-way contract, which Frank Mason actually showed a lot of promise when he did play. So I would look for them to maybe sign Frank Mason onto the roster full-time, just to kind of give him a little bit more depth. And maybe there's some free agents that they can sign, some veterans that they can sign on some veteran minimums to kind of bolster out the rest of that roster. So I really like what they did. They didn't waste any time. They didn't leave any questions. They came out and immediately made moves to show Giannis Antetokounmpo that they're serious about being contenders next year. And the crazy thing is, I don't think they're done. I honestly don't think that they're done making moves. I think there's maybe one more move out there that they can make. I don't know how significant it is. Again, I just don't feel like they're done. I think there's another move out there that they can make to really bolster this roster and really push them over the edge, making them true finals contenders. As of right now, they have the best roster in the East. This is a better roster. This is a better roster than the Brooklyn Nets. And with the volatility of the Nets locker room, we saw how that locker room blew up last year and got Kenny Atkinson fired. With the volatility of that locker room and with the oddball mix of coaches and players over there, I mean that whatever the Nets have going on over there could either blow up in their face or they'll just be world beaters and they'll run the league. Either way, again, I still don't think, as constructed, they have a better roster than the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's going to be our most up-to-date NBA trade news. Really curious to see what trades happen on Tuesday. That's going to be really interesting day. And again, there are some teams out there slow to make these moves. The Celtics, I mean, as guys start getting traded and signed, the clock is going to be ticking for some of these teams. Guys are falling off the board. Players are getting signed. Deals are being made. All right. You can't hold on to these draft picks. You can't hold on to these young guys forever. You either got to start developing the talent. If you're Denver, you got Michael Porter Jr. and Bol Bol. All right. Or you got to make efforts to make sure you bring back the talent that you had in Jeremy Grant. Or you look to make moves to bring in even more talent than what you did have. All right. I really want to see these gyms held accountable this summer, or at least free agency, as far as really going out there making moves to put these teams in a better situation. Even with the OKC Thunder, we know that they're not going to be a winning team next year. But what are they doing? That GM is actively engaging in trades. He's making things happen. He's setting that team up for the future. All right, at least have some type of plan. We can see the plan. What is the plan for the Atlanta Hawks? We know they were interested in Jrue Holiday. Now that Jrue Holiday and Bogdanovic are off the board, what are you looking to do now? Are you looking to maybe try to get Gordon Hayward? Like what is the plan? But I would love to see these moves being made going into tomorrow. That's going to be really big for a lot of these teams. But there it is right there. NBA trade news. These are the most updated trades. Again, I expect this to change. Maybe by the time this video drops, there will be more trade news floating out there. When more news drops, we'll be going right back live. We'll discuss it all, and we'll just kind of break it down as the information comes in. But these next 72 hours are going to be crazy with the NBA draft tomorrow. All right, with teams looking to sign players when free agency opens up a few days after the draft. It's going to get crazy. So, guys, keep your eyes open, man. And again, I like what these guys are doing. The James Harden situation is becoming more fuzzy and more fuzzy. The James Harden situation is getting really tricky. We hear a certain narrative come from media outlets. If you listen to media outlets, if you listen to Wojnarowski from ESPN and Ramona Shelburne, very credible names in the sports world, they're all saying that James Harden has demanded a trade. James Harden put out a cryptic message on Instagram yesterday that gave the implication that all of these reports were false. And again, I've been a really big proponent of taking everything that you hear with a grain of salt, especially if you have everybody saying, like, for example, when the Devin Booker report came out, everybody was saying all at the same time he wanted out of Phoenix. He wants to get traded. Everybody is now talking about trade scenarios. All right. Was that thrown out there to potentially deter Chris Paul from wanting to seek a trade to the Phoenix Suns? All right, so a lot of false things getting thrown around out there. It's the same with James Harden. Is it true that he has requested a trade? Or are there teams out there that simply would like for the Rockets to make an impulsive move and trade him, not get appropriate value, and maybe finesse the Rockets out of a great player? I mean, there are a lot of things you really have to think about. There's a lot of things you really have to think about when it goes into this. The NBA is a shady, shady business. All right, and when these reports get leaked, when you hear them too quickly, and when you hear everyone saying them, usually there's only one source that reports something. And I'll give you an example. When the Jrue Holiday trade was reported, it was reported by one guy. It wasn't reported by 9-10 different outlets at the same time. It was reported by one guy on Twitter who's very credible. And then as he reported it, it started to leak out to other media outlets. And then it started to spread. He reported it before it could be a feature story on any website. He reported it on Twitter first. But when you listen to these stories about James Harden requesting a trade, look at where these stories are breaking from. ESPN, Ramona Shelburne, Wojnarowski, Brian Windhurst. They're all reported at the exact same time. They're all reporting the same thing. He wants out. He said he wants to go to the Nets. it gives me the vibe that something funny is going on. Maybe there's something else at play. Maybe someone else is putting these bugs in their ears to maybe push a certain narrative, or to maybe force a team into doing something irrational, such as trading James Harden. I think that's not something that you do. I think James Harden, for as great as he is, there's no way you get equal value. And with as close as with as close as they've been to potentially getting out the West, I think you make tweaks to your roster. I think you find ways to get better. I think you bring back centers into your lineups. And this is the free agency to do it. But you don't throw away everything that you built over the last 5 years, all because of rumors floating around out there that James Harden may want to get traded. So again, I want you guys to keep an eye out on some of these reports. Keep an eye out on some of these reports. The James Harden news is going. The James Harden news is just going to get crazier and crazier. I'm going to go ahead and pull up these reports because, again, I just want the most updated information on what's going on with James Harden. Maybe there's some new information that just got released. We'll go ahead and double check before we get up out of here for the day. But it's just a crazy situation. It's a crazy situation. Obviously, I don't want to see James Harden leave Houston Rockets. I know what he means to that Houston community. They're the ones that gave him the opportunity when he wanted to leave OKC. They gave him the money that he asked for. I feel that he has some form of loyalty to them. And again, as soon as I go to clutchpoints.com, Rockets firm plan for disgruntled James Harden. And again, a lot of people are reporting that he's disgruntled. Last I heard, James Harden ghosted the team. And if he ghosted the team, where are these reports coming from that he's disgruntled? All right. But this is the Houston Rockets are not pressing the panic button just yet, following reports that their superstar, James Harden, has requested to be traded somewhere else. All right. The growing public consensus is that the Beard will somehow join Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving with the Brooklyn Nets, or reunite with Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers. Wow. The Rockets brass, however, is not looking at the possible returns that they could get for Harden and seek repair for a relationship to entice him to stay, per the New York Times. Again, I never felt that the relationship was broken. Maybe there are a few players that are upset with the firing or with the parting ways of Mike D'Antoni. I know that team really liked him. But at the end of the day, that offensive system was not going to win a championship, although it was fun for the players. But this is a situation right here. Again, we can only go off rumor. The only thing that I ask you guys to really be careful with is look at how many people are reporting the same thing. And when you see these stories getting reported and they're flooded everywhere with such ferocity so quickly, you need to take a step back and look and say, what's really going on here? Is this what the player wants? Or is this what someone else wants to happen for the player, right, to push another agenda or narrative? I think that happened with Chris Paul. I think that happened with a number of other players as well. And only time will tell in these situations. But my prediction is that James Harden and Russell Westbrook both stay in Houston. I predict that they are not traded. And I think that they're just going to be stuck in Houston to figure it out. All right, you don't trade two MVPs. You don't blow that up. You're not going to get equal value. You make those two guys figure it out. They're two of the greatest players of this decade, and whether you want to admit it or not, of this decade, they're two of the greatest players of this decade. They're both MVPs. All right, they both played great. They both gotten close to championships. It's just about executing and getting it done. Now you have a coach who you know can get the job done offensively. Now you have a GM in front office who are going to do more with regards to putting real help around you and not just falling prey to analytics. And I think that's the bright spot that they have going forward with this team right here. So I think James Harden should definitely give Stephen Silas a chance to see how things play out for the Houston Rockets. But you never know. All right, but today's been a great video, great news and update video. Just want to touch down on all of the trade talk. Wanted to touch on the James Harden situation. Again, a lot of stuff floating around out there. Cannot wait to see what transpires going into the latter part of today. We'll touch on everything on our live stream today. We'll be going live today, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you tune in. All right, and again, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you guys another opportunity to get more entries into our Friday drawing. We're going to be doing a Friday drawing for a $100 Cash App giveaway. All right, and so we're just going to go ahead, we're just going to go ahead and hashtag FYF Sports. Very simple, not very hard. Hashtag FYF Sports in the comments or the live chat of this video, because this will be a premiere video as well. Also, if you stuck around to the video, if you stuck around to the end of this video, I want you to make sure that you go over to DKM's channel, all right, and give him a big salute. Give him a big salute for the video that he's about to be dropping on LaMelo Ball. I mean, the man puts a lot of time and energy into those videos. It takes him weeks on end to get these videos edited, to get these documentaries completely, drawn up and put together. So he's gonna be dropping the epic documentary. Make sure you go subscribe to DKM. He has an awesome channel, awesome videos, awesome video dropping on LaMelo Ball. Make sure you guys go over there and check that out at 3 o'clock today, where the premiere will be dropping. But man, it's been another great video. We touched on a lot of things today. Make sure you guys don't forget to hashtag FYF Sports. Get your entries in for the money. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. All right. If you want to watch your live streams from our Facebook group, make sure you go join NBA GOAT Talk. The Facebook group over there is growing really fast. Or you can join our blog group on the website. All right. You can watch the videos with those groups as well. However you watch, it doesn't matter. It all counts towards our YouTube numbers. So just show up, engage in the content, and we'll keep giving you guys that high quality news that you've been wanting to see. Hey, but it's been FYF Sports. It's been another great breaking news video. We out.